Sean Michael Jordan here, and today we're going to talk about three-point lighting. What? Basketball players love it. Three-point lighting is very common in photography for portraits, but it's also used in video for interviews, documentaries, and YouTube videos like this, where the person isn't going to be moving a lot at all. I don't care if they're kickers either. 3 points is 3 points. So anyway, without further ado, let's just go ahead and roll the...
Three-point lighting has 3 lights, as the name suggests, but each of these lights serves specific functions. If you don't yet know the basics of lighting, check out the video in the description below. Let's use a diagram to show a typical three-point lighting setup. A common three-point lighting setup will be front-lit, with your main light off to one side or the other, with 2 of the other lights providing and controlling extra dynamics to your image. Let's look at your main light. This main light is referred to as the key light, and is the main focus point of the way the rest of the image is lit. Where you decide to put the key will determine how the rest of the scene will look. This lighting can be separated into several different styles, but we'll go over the 2 most common. There is high key lighting and low key lighting. High key lighting is your happy lighting, a brightly lit scene, which can be used for interviews, commercials, and is generally used with a strong, highly diffused key light. Low key lighting tends to be much darker in relation, with lots of areas draped in darkness. It can be used for drama and tension, and has more contrast and shadows. Your key light will usually be around 45 degrees from your subject, and ran through heavy diffusion to soften the light. Here is a three-point lighting setup, which is somewhere on the lower end of the spectrum of high key lighting. Here you can see how I place the lights, and use them for this lighting setup. We'll go over what I used and how I used them once we learn about the other lights. With the 2 other lights off, you can see what areas of the scene are being illuminated by the key light. The key light provides us with the majority of the overall lighting for our subject, but still has areas that are lacking, especially as far as depth is concerned. The second light we'll go over is the backlight. This light is referred to as a rim light, hair light, or kicker, depending on how it's used. Don't worry too much about this now. If you call it by any of those terms, people will know which light you're referring to. This is usually highly concentrated light, and will usually be 45 degrees behind the subject on either side, depending on the look. Placing it directly opposite of your main light will take some of the burden off of your other light and create less contrast. The job of this light is to accent the subject's features and shape by creating bright highlights to the hair and the edge of the face. This creates depth and helps separate your subject from the background, unlike with just the key light, which looks a bit two-dimensional in comparison. Here's what the kicker looks like on its own for reference. Notice how it is focused to a lesser overall area of the subject, which results in really showing off shapes and features, with stronger highlights than the flatter-looking key light. The final light we'll go over is called the fill light. Its job is to lift the shadows and create less contrast, so that we can see more of the subject's overall face, while keeping some of the dynamics of our lighting. Depending on how much contrast you want to have left will determine how strong your fill light will be. Here's what our fill light looks like on its own. This fill light was very subtle to just bring a little less contrast than previously. You can tell the difference as I show here. As far as what to use, it doesn't matter as much, so long as the lights are around the same color temperature. For this specific lighting setup, the key light is 2 portable LED lights pushed through a diffuser. They're pushed closely together to create the effect of having one light source. The key light is placed above our subject. You want to have the key light higher than eye level, as this simulates more natural lighting like the sun brings. Avoid putting the light below eye level. The kicker was placed higher in the air using 1 portable LED light. This light is coming down at a higher angle. Changing the height will change the effect. A good rule of thumb is between 30 to 45 degrees above your subject. The fill light was just using the flashlight function of a cell phone, crammed into a box I had laying around. I placed it as closely as possible, but since I wasn't going to need super strong light for the dynamics I wanted, a cell phone worked great, because there's already a diffuser built into the light to spread it around, and so I made it work. Hopefully this taught you the basic principles of a 3-point lighting setup. If there's anything you think I missed or any questions I can answer about 3-point lighting, please comment down below. And you can always like or subscribe to show your appreciation. I'm Sean Michael Jordan. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Let me ask you a question. What is the purpose of light?
To see what we're doing?
Light creates everything that we see. Without light, we don't know what's in front of us. It's just black. Light gives everything its shape, its texture, its depth.